welcome, Nick family. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the new time, Mondays, 8 p.m. Hopefully more you will be able to join us. Hopefully if there's any females out there that want to be on the panel, this time will work better for you. So definitely shout us out, contact us. Email Sem. He'll put the email in the chat. Hopefully this is a better time and you'll come and be part of the panel. Today I'm going to update you on the Olympics. We're going to talk about the one big question the Knicks have to answer. And the answer to this question, in my opinion, dictates what they do in the draft and what they do in free agency. So stay tuned for that. We'll also be talking about small forwards the Knicks can pick. I'll be picking for the Knicks at the 19th and 21st pick. And next week we'll do the bigs, we'll do the centers as well. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't picked up the tickets already, NBK is having an NBA draft party on July 29th in Atlantic City, right? It's $25. You get VIP entry between 5 and 8 p.m. There'll be a happy hour, free buffet. There'll be a free beer. You'll get an opportunity to mingle with us. We're doing a live show. Right? I'll be there. Sam will be there, of course. Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises. G-Mo from Legion of Knicks. The Entertainer will be there. If you haven't checked out his channel, please do so. He covers the Knicks. He also, if you're a Giant fan like I am, he covers the Giants extensively as well. Julito will be there. It's gonna be we're gonna have a good time. There's gonna be a live podcast, right? So you'll get an opportunity to be in the audience, and I believe you'll have the opportunity to come up to the mic. If you have any comments, right? So that's different than calling in. That's different than typing in the chat, though you can still do that. You'll have the opportunity to come up to the mic, share your thoughts live with us. So if you have that opportunity, you're off that day, you can make it happen. Please do so. Would love to see you. Next week, I'll be giving away a free ticket to the draft party. Right? You got to be in the chat, though, to be eligible to win. Right? So next week, check me out. Same time, 8 p.m. I'll be giving away a free VIP ticket, entry ticket to our draft party. All right. Next, before we start, I got to spread love. You know, shout out to Sam for allowing me to do what I do. A big shout out to all the NBA draft content creators. Special shout out to Hoop Intellect and Coach Spin with the Boxing One on the Boxing One channel. That helps me prepare for today. It's helping me prepare for the draft party, and the other YouTube content creators as far as the draft is concerned as well. Shout out to you. Big shout out to JD Sports Talk. If you haven't had an opportunity, he does videos. He was on the panel as well a few times at MBK. I'll just say I appreciate him for my free consultation, and if I get an opportunity, I'll pay that forward. All right, Nick family, let's get it. Hit the intro. Just kidding. All right, so let's talk about the Olympics. As you know, the Olympics are in Tokyo, Japan, July 23rd to August 8th. Unfortunately, R.J. Barrett and the Canadian team did not qualify. They lost in the semifinals in the qualifying tournament to Czech Republic. In a very good game. They actually came back from 10 points down with under a minute left to tie the game. Really, I mean, it was a really good game, only to lose in overtime. So RJ Barrett won't be in the Olympics this time around. He'll have more time to work on his game, though. The U.S. select team, you know, Obi and IQ were on the select team. They practiced against the Olympic team. Unfortunately, IQ couldn't see it through. He was in COVID protocol. He had to leave early. Unclear whether he was positive or he was just in contact with somebody who was positive. If somebody knows that in the chat, please share that with me. But During media day, he was able to say that he got an opportunity to talk with KD, conversate with him. They had plans on working out. I don't know if they were able to do that before he had to leave. And that was my hope for him and Obi, that they would have the opportunity to talk to some of these vets, maybe work out with some of them. Obi talked about being happy that he was selected. He acknowledged that he didn't have the best rookie year, but that he was back working. He took a few days off, and he was back in the gym working on his game. I think Obi is going to take the biggest leap between year one and year two. That being said, he probably has, the furthest to go. I know I've said that before, but I'm betting on Obi that he'll be okay. The Olympic team played a few nights ago, I believe, and believe it or not, they lost to Nigeria. Yes, lost to Nigeria. So they play again tonight. If they have, I don't believe they've played already, but they play tonight. Let me just see. They play Australia tonight. Then they're going to play Argentina with Luca Vildoza. They'll play Australia again, and then they'll play Spain. These are the exhibition games before the Olympics start on the 23rd. And as I said last week, the first Olympic game for the United States is July 25th, which is a Sunday, and they play France and FIBA Frank, right? So Frank has been getting, tweets, videos, articles that he's playing very well over there. I'm not surprised. It's not new. He's always played well in FIBA international competition. Hopefully he'll get a chance with a team here in the NBA that plays that style of basketball. Doesn't look like it's going to be with the Knicks. All right, let me just shout out the chat before we move on. Kerry Cox, appreciate you. Sherman M, always in the house, appreciate you. Pudge Nice, Frederick, welcome. I'd love Jalen Johnson. Hopefully he falls due to quote unquote character. I'm with you on that. Tony Crow, yo, Blackest Time, appreciate you. Nathaniel Ming, C Mac, appreciate you. Rafael Elias Diaz, appreciate you. King J, all of you, appreciate you guys for hanging out with me at the new time. May 4th says, Obi, nice, be patient. Listen, you know how I feel about Obi. I like him, but I was expecting more for the 8th pick in the draft, right? He was supposed to be NBA ready. I was expecting a little more. So, if based on the expectations, I would say he had a disappointing rookie season. Does that mean he's going to have a disappointing NBA career? It does not, right? I'm banking on him. I believe he'll get better, but it wasn't what we expected, right? I think we can all agree on that. All right, cool. All right, so let's move to the next segment. And we've talked about this a little bit, but I want to talk about it a bit more in the context of the draft and in the context of free agency, right? So we're hearing a lot of players linked to the Knicks, both in the draft, both in free agency. We all know the Knicks could benefit from a point guard, a wing player that can shoot, and as Uncle Fleo could say, somebody that can get a bucket as well. We definitely need that. But I think there's one question that the Knicks have to answer. And the answer to this question is going to dictate which way they move in the draft and which way they move in free agency as well as the trade market. And that question is, do we, and by we, I mean the Knicks, do we believe that Randall is a perennial all-star, all-NBA player? Do we believe that, right? If the answer is yes, basically what you're saying is he's going to continue these all-star-like seasons, right? Whether he makes the all-NBA team or not, he's going to be one of the best power forwards in this league going forward. He's going to be one of the best players in this league going forward. We really believe that, right? So if you're the Knicks and you really believe that, then as I said before, it changes a lot of things. Number one, you got to go out and you have to get an all-star or NBA caliber player to play with Randall. And you got to do it this offseason. Be aggressive about it. You're not going to find it in free agency, so you're going to have to trade for it, for him. And you got to be careful, right? Because we're not talking about a budding superstar. We're talking about somebody who's a star right now who can maximize Randall's window, because to win in this league, you need at least two. Some have more, but you need at least two. Look at Milwaukee. They got Giannis, they got Middleton, they got Drew Holiday. Phoenix has Booker and Chris Paul in no particular order. I'm not sure they was expecting Ayton to perform the way he does, the way he has. But he has, right? And so at least for this playoffs, they have three. If you believe he's your guy, you got to go out and you got to pair him with someone else. Now, how does that impact the draft? I think if Randall's your guy and you're going to get that other superstar, at least try to, in the draft, you are not looking for developmental players. You're looking for players who can give you some minutes, hopefully crack that rotation. So maybe you're trading up. You're packaging the 19th and 21st pick with Knox, or maybe without Knox, depending on how far up you want to go. And you're getting somebody who can contribute now as they continue to develop their game and contribute more in the future. Because let's be realistic, most of these prospects have holes in their games, right? They have things that they need to work on, right? I doubt you're going to find an all-around player with nothing to work on in this particular draft, right? So that's the one thing they need to do. Or they can stay put at 19 and 21 and pick an NBA-ready player. Chris Duarte, who I really like. He's 24, but it doesn't matter. If you're going to be aggressive, you're going to ask somebody to Randall, you're looking for players that can contribute right now, right? Or maybe you trade out of the draft altogether. And, maybe you trade for a player that's already in the NBA who you feel can help you, right? That's what you do if the answer to that question is yes, I believe we have one. Right? As far as free agency, now you're looking to fill out the rest of your starting lineup. You're looking to fill out your bench. Depending on who you were able to trade for and how many assets you have left, you may be looking for players that on value contracts, right? Players that are going to give you more than you're actually paying for, right? That's what happened with the Knicks last season with Bullock and Burke and Noel. I think the Knicks got more than they paid for. You're going to need contracts like that depending on who you pair with Randall. Now, let me just go to the chat before I go to if the answer is no. Kerry Cox, Chris, and I guess he's talking about Chris and Duarte and Trey Mann, May 4th. They got to stay put, Steph. We have like 8 spots to fill. 60% of the rotation from last year is not under contract. I believe the Knicks only have 6 players under contract. So May 4th, you're right. They do have a lot of holes to fill. Kerry Cox, he said, yes, Randall is the man. All right. So there's some out there who believe that, who are sold on Randall, believe he's the guy, that we got at least one. And I would think they would agree that we need to go out and get somebody else to put with him. Now, if the Knicks believe the answer is no, yes, he had an all-star season. Yes, he made the all-NBA team, but I don't think this is going to happen every year. His play in the playoffs gave us major pause. I'm not quite sure he's our guy. I'm not sure I want to sign him to this extension. I'm not sure I want to give up assets to try to put somebody around him. I don't think he's our guy. If that's the conclusion the Knicks come to, then I think you have to trade Randall this summer. I think you have to trade him this summer. I don't think his value is going to be any higher than it is right now. And and his value took a little hit with his subpar playoff performance. But I still think you can get somebody good for him. And as Sim has said on a prior MBK show, you're not giving him up from a bag of peanuts. If you trade Randall, it doesn't necessarily mean you're rebuilding from scratch, right? You're going to get a bona fide player. You're going to get somebody hopefully you can build around. You're going to get somebody to add to your now young core. Because if you're trading Randall, if you don't believe he's your guy, whether you trade him or not, if you don't believe he's your guy, now you're building around RJ, Obi, IQ, possibly Mitch, right? So you want players that in that timeline, players that complement that young core. So what do you do in the draft? If I'm in the draft, I'll still try to trade up if I can, to get the best prospect I can get that can fit with that young core. If I stay put at 19 and 21, I'm not looking for an NBA ready player. At 19 and 21, I'm looking for somebody that can grow with that group. Maybe with the 21st pick, maybe I'm taking a swing on a developmental prospect. Maybe I'm drafting Zaire Williams, who in my opinion, 21 is too high. I know others may disagree. Maybe I'm taking a swing at 21. Right? Because we're going young. There's no press to win. You definitely want to win every game, but there's no press to be a championship contender, so to speak. So we could take our time a little bit. What about free agency? If Randall is not your guy, I still think you have to sign veterans. You can't just have a team full of young players with no one to show them how to win in this league. It's going to be hard to develop players if you're losing game in and game out. Winning games, losing close ones, putting in the effort, pulling one out. All of that is a part of development, right? So this idea of let's not sign any vets. If we decide to go in that direction, we're just going to play all the young players, give them all of the minutes, doesn't necessarily mean that because you get a lot of minutes, you're going to develop faster. Look at Knox. Got a lot of minutes that first year. He's a little better, but he wasn't able to crack the rotation this year, at least for a sustained period of time. So I still think if you trade Randall, if you don't think he's your guy, you still need some young vets on this team. I mean, the players that was on the Knicks now, Bullock, Burks, Noel, they were young veterans, right? Maybe you do get an older veteran as well, but you have to surround these young players with veterans if you decide you're moving on for Randall. So chat, let me know how you feel about that. We still got one more option, but let me know if you feel like Randall is your guy and you know that already and you don't need to see any more despite his playoff performance. You want to build around him. Let me know if you feel like, nah, I don't think he's our guy. I think we need to move off of him, and I think we need to build around the younger core. Let me know what you think about. I'll check in with you after I go through the third option, which is what I think. Maybe Randall is the guy, right? I need to see him for at least one more year, right? That's in that situation, yes, he was all NBA. Yes, he was an all-star player, but that playoff performance or lack thereof gave me major pause. So I'm not sure. I need to see him for another year. Can he become an all-star again or close to it? Like the all-star team is so much that goes into it. Just because you don't make it doesn't mean you're not all-star caliber, right? Does he have another all-NBA season? If he does, I don't mind paying him $200 million. If you have a perennial all-star, a perennial all-NBA player, he made it twice, you got to give him the bag. You can't just, I want to see him make it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. To me, he makes it twice. He kind of solidifies him, and he plays well in the playoffs. I think you have to pay him. But in my opinion, he's not there yet, right? So this is what I'm not going to do. Because I'm not 100% confident, I personally would not give up any assets to bring in an all-star player to play with Randall because I don't really know what I have just yet, right? I'm going to bring in a point guard. I'm going to bring in a wing. I'm going to fill out the rest of the bench, and we're going to run it back. And I want to see Randall next season. I want to see him in the playoffs. And then if he's our guy, then we can put our plan in motion, right? So if it's a maybe, this is what I'm doing in the draft. Similar to what I've already discussed. Trade up for somebody who I think can help us now. If I stay put, I'm trying to get somebody who can crack the rotation, give us some rotational minutes. We got to keep in mind with this draft, we got 4 picks. We don't know. Some of our young players may get traded. If they do, maybe we need to draft 2 more players. I know a lot of us want to put our picks together and just get 1 player because there's not enough room. We got a lot of young players already. But what if they get packaged in a trade deal? Maybe, drafting 2 players wouldn't be that bad, right, in that respect, right? If the answer is maybe when it comes to free agency, again, because I'm not sure what I have, I'm trying to get cap-friendly contracts if I can. 3-year contracts, 3rd year, team option. And you may have to overpay in a situation like that. And I don't mind. I don't mind overpaying in year 1 and 2. As long as it's cap-friendly, in year 3, we can get off of it. I'm okay with that, right? I'm giving 4- and 5-year contracts to players that I know no matter which direction we go, this player is going to be a part of our team. Or I envision this player being a part of our team for the long haul, right? Or this player is a budding star. This player is coming into their own. This player is ascending. 4- or 5-year contract. Other than that, until I know what I have, cap-friendly contracts. I'm interested in what the chat has to say. All right. All right. We keep Mitch unless we trade for Turner. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And that was Tricky Nicky. I like that name. Big Boss Mr. Worldwide says, I think we should get our 2 draft. Wait, hold on. All right. It's moving kind of fast. All right. I want to pair Randall with the best players available to take the pressure off of him. Brahim 718. Do you think that's why he didn't perform in the playoffs? Because there was too much pressure on him? And there wasn't other players available that can carry the load? Maybe. What I've seen makes me think Tibbs Rose trusts Randall is a solid main piece / all-star. Jose Aponte. Okay. So I take it that you would build with him. Big Boss Mr. Worldwide. I think we should get our 2 draft players. One of them got to be a gem. I don't know if there's any gems where the Knicks are picking. Maybe a hidden gem. Sherwin M. Randall is not a top 6 player. They are the superstars. Randall is a star. Okay. But is he a star enough to pair somebody with him, or do you think we should move off of him? Bye-bye Frank and Knox, and hello new role players, Tricky Nicky. I think I'm in agreement with that. Like, I feel like if Frank and Knox are not going to get playing time in our rotation, let them go. And let's bring in other players that we can develop. And maybe 2 years from now, maybe not 3, hopefully 2 years from now, they will be a part of our rotation. JRU, I totally agree, Steph. We can see if he still has it. That's what I want to see. Now, if you ask me to put money on it, I'm putting money on Randall. I just like his work ethic. It's just something about this guy. I know people say he doesn't have a great feel for the game. His IQ is not the highest. I'm not sure about that. But I just love the way he works. I just love how he's able to handle New York. If I had to bet, I would bet on him. However, I can't say I'm 100% sure, 100% confident. That's why I say I want to see him for another year. Will Salkin, yep, that's a plan, Steph. Sherman is very high on Randall. Randall is a top 15 player in the NBA. What do we think about that, chat? We think Randall is a top 15 player in the NBA. And if he is, then you got to be aggressive and you got to pair somebody with him while he's in his prime, if you believe that. New York, New York, I don't think he's the guy. A good number two, but not our guy. To me, he choked at every opportunity we gave him to show against real talent. I don't know about that. I remember that the Lakers game when he went up against AD, I thought he held his own. I thought he would play better than AD actually that game. But New York, New York, if he's a good number two. If he's a good number two, I mean, then he's good enough to build with, right? If he's a good number two. Randall is a 20, 10, and 6 guy with good defense. Sherwin is the president. Just like between Cornerstone Kev and Andy is the president of the Frank Ntilikina Club, Sherwin M is the president of the Julius Randle Club. And he does play good defense. His defense is underrated. He's a good defender for his position. Randall may not be the number one guy, but he has veteran skills that the Knicks need him at this point. D. Grant, appreciate you. Tricky Nicky, exactly one more year. Eric Cox, Randall is the guy to build around, but he is our second option in scoring. Okay. Randall to the Kings. Randall to the Kings for the 9th pick. Jody, you don't think that's a bit too low? I mean, you don't think you could get more than the 9th pick for Randall? I don't know about that. All right, chat. I appreciate you guys. Just want to make sure Julius Randle is overrated. His defense is overrated. That was C-Mac. Mike Morgan. Mike Morgan said he's president of the IQ Club. I'm high on IQ as well. Like I said, every player has a price for the right price. If it's going to upgrade your team, then yeah, you have to do it. But I really like IQ. All right. Now that we know at least how I would approach this offseason, for me, it's a maybe. I want to get into the draft a little bit. All right. So today I'm looking at small forwards. This is what I'll start with. There isn't much value at small forward at pick number 19 and pick number 21. I think the Knicks, if they're hell bent on a small forward, you're going to have to trade up for one, or you could trade down. And I think you can find a lot of small forwards. They're going to need some work later on in the draft. I think at 19 and 21, the value is at the guard position, whether that's combo guard, shooting guard. That's where the value is. I wasn't able to find three players between picks 19 and 21 that I felt like, yeah, this is where they belong. Most of the people there, I felt like it was a reach. You can get them later on. And the other ones that I like, the Knicks just would have to give up assets if they wanted them. But anyway, who would you pick as I get into this segment? If you were drafting for the Knicks, which small forward, wing player would you draft at number 19 and number 21? Now, the Knicks are not going to take two players, I don't think, two wings at 19 and 21, but for the purpose of this show, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to also let you know who I would trade up for. All right? Okay. So let's get to it. Now, I looked at a lot of small forwards, but these are the five I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about Scotty Barnes, who's out of the Knicks range. We'll talk more about that. Jalen Johnson, Moses Moody, Troy Murphy III, Zaire Williams, right? But let me get my list of who I looked at Also, I looked at Franz Wagner out of Michigan, who I like. I looked at Crispert out of Gonzaga. I looked at Kelsler out of Pepperdine. I looked at Greg Brown out of Texas. And I also looked at Aaron Henry out of Michigan State. If I missed anybody who you think is a really good wing player that can help the Knicks, please put it in the chat. I'm still doing my draft prep. I'll take a look. I'll take a look at them. All right. All right. I want to start off with Scotty Barnes. Now, Scotty Barnes out of Florida State, small forward, can also play power forward, in my opinion, 6'7", 225. He's mocked for the early lottery, right? He's mocked for number 6, 7, 8. He's not getting out of the top 10, right? And these mock drafts, I mean, some of these players are like go from the lottery to the second round, but it's been pretty consistent with Scotty Barnes. And as a matter of fact, in some drafts, they have him going 5. You know, for the most part, the top 5 was set, right? With Kuminga being the 5th player. I've seen some draft boards that have Scotty Barnes moved up to the 5th spot. Now, I like Scotty. Let me tell you what I like about him, and let me tell you what the Knicks would need to do if they wanted him. I like the fact that he can defend multiple positions. Now, the scouting report said he could defend 1 through 5. I say 2 through 4, but maybe he can. You know, I just think the NBA guards, you know, really, really quick. I'm not sure he'll be able to guard an NBA point guard, but maybe he'll be able to. This guy is going to be an elite defender in the NBA. Switchable. He's a point forward type player. He could bring the ball up. He has good vision. He could play make in transition. He could play make in the half court, but he's not a great shooter. He is not a great shooter. He averaged 10.3 points, 4 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 1.5 steals, half a block, shot 50.3% from the field, only 27.5% from three-point line, and only 62.1% from the free throw line. And this is what gives me pause, right? Because I'm saying if this guy can ever develop a jump shot, he has the potential to be an all-star caliber two-way player for a very long time. But when I saw that free throw shooting at 62.1, usually, poor free throw shooters, I mean, it's possible, may not turn into great shooters. I watched him shoot. He doesn't really have a great touch, in my opinion, but he's mocked at 5, 6, maybe 7. And I like him. I know Tip said he's looking for shooters. I know he said he's looking for scorers. He could score. He could get to the basket, but I really love this guy. And if the Knicks, this would be the guy I would trade up for. And it would take a lot. The number 19th pick, the 21st pick, and Knox is not going to get you Scotty Barnes. I think if you want Scotty Barnes, you're going to have to propose a trade around Obi Toppin if you want him. What do you think about that, chat? Would you trade Obi or put together a trade around Obi Toppin for a prospect like Scotty Barnes? Would you trade Obi for any prospect? And if so, who would it be? But I really like Scotty Barnes, man. I just see him being switchable, playing the defense that we need him to play. I mean, if you think about DeAndre Hunter on his shot is not there yet, but defensively, just how he was able to play. He played Rose, he played RJ, he played Randall. Scotty Barnes is that type of player, and he can handle the ball, right? So let me know what you think about that. May 4th said Obi stays. Yes, I know you, president of the OB club. Clutchball TV says, does he remind you of Draymond? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Draymond can guard point guards, but that's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe that's not the first thing that came to my mind when I saw him, but that's not bad. All right. Number two, I want to talk about Jalen Johnson out of Duke, small forward. Can also play power forward, 6'9", 209 pounds. He only played 13 games for Duke. He left. Family reasons, personal reasons. There was some rumblings that he left because Coach K was getting on him and he couldn't deal. He couldn't deal with that. If there's any truth to that, I think he would have a hard time in New York. I think he would have a hard time with Tibbs, if there's any truth to that. But he's been marked from 7 all the way to 24. You know, as someone said in the chat, you know, he's been falling maybe because of red flags and character issues. But in his 13 games with Duke, he averaged 11.2 points, 6.1 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 1.2 steals, 1.2 blocks, 52.3% field goal percentage, 44.4 3-point percentage, 66.7 free throw percentage. If he falls to the Knicks, he has holes in his game as well. And I think I like Moody a little better than him, but he's a lottery talent. If you can get a lottery talent at 19 without having to trade up for it, then you have to go for it. He also has point forward ability, sees the floor well. He's a willing passer, very good rebounder with his size. That's the another knock on Scotty Barnes for his size at 6'7", with a 7'2" wingspan, which allows him to play bigger than he is. He's not a great rebounder, you know, and part of that, you know, could be because he was asked to guard out on the perimeter, right? But Jalen Johnson out of Duke is a very good rebounder. You know, as far as his shooting is not great. He has a lot to work on. He's okay off the catch and shoot, limited ability to create one-on-one, but he also is versatile defensively and can switch. And I just believe we need those guys that can switch. But his shooting would have to get better as well. Again, if he's there at 19, I take him. But Moses Moody, who I'm about to talk about next, I like better. Moses Moody out of Arkansas, he's 6'6". 211 pounds. He's mocked anywhere from 8 to 7. His draft stock is rising too. When I first started doing it, seemed like the Knicks had a chance. Now, most of the mocks have him between 8 and 10, right? So he's out of Arkansas. He averaged 16.8 points, 5.8 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 1 steal, shot 42.7% from the field, which is not that great, 35.8% from 3, but 91.2% from the free throw line. And that tells me that he has touch, and that tells me that his shooting will improve. Now, what I like about Moses is he's a shooter and a scorer. He can hit the three-point shot. He can shoot off the catch, off the screen, off the turnaround. He can fake and make the mid-range shot. He's a very good rebounder and specifically a very good offensive rebounder. He has a 7-foot wingspan. So even though he's 6'6", he could play, he can defend taller players. He has good lateral quickness. He moves well without the ball. He showed flashes as a playmaker. I really like Moody. He needs to improve in terms of finishing around the basket. His ball handling has to get tighter, and his shot creating and playmaking has to get better. But for the Knicks, who need shooters and scorers, Moody is that guy, in my opinion. Now, and I'm going to ask the chat this. I like him, but would you trade up to get him? Like, would you trade the 19th and 21st pick to get Moody? I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of value in this draft in the first round. And at 19 and 21, if you have the opportunity to get Trey Mann and Chris Duarte, Sharif Cooper, and I don't know, let's say Trey Murphy III, would you give up the opportunity to draft 2 of those players to get Moses Moody? I'm not so sure about that, but let me see what the chat is saying. Mike Morgan said, nope, he wouldn't do it. Not Zay says Trey Murphy. He likes Trey Murphy. I'm gonna get to Trey Murphy next. I like him also. Um, Trey Murphy is better. Trey Murphy, you think Trey Murphy is better than Moses Cooper? Chat, do you agree? I mean, excuse me, to Moses Moody. Chat, do you agree with that? That Trey Murphy the third is better than Moody? Um, Big Boss, Mr. Worldwide. Trey Murphy the third has the second best three-point shooter, and we need three-point shooter on our next team. On our next team. I agree. I'm gonna get to him next. Give me anyone up there. They're all 6'7" or better. Exactly what we need. That's May 4th. Yeah, I do think we need size on the wing. Barrett is 6'6". You know, if we do, you know, get somebody like Norman Powell or anyone else that's 6'4", we got to move Barrett over to the 3. I mean, I think he can defend the 3 as well. J-Rue, we need a small forward who can provide offense for us and play defense. So a two-way player. Hit the like button. Yes, hit the like button, family. Trey Murphy is the best shooter and defender of all the small forwards. All right. Let's get to Trey Murphy. All right. You guys are on it. You guys are on it. I appreciate you. All right, Trey Murphy the third out of Virginia, small forward, 6'9", 206. He's marked to go in the mid to late first. So he's in the Knicks' wheelhouse, right? The Knicks don't have to trade up. I think for Moody, maybe even Jalen Johnson, definitely Scotty Barnes, you got to trade up. But I think Trey Murphy the third will be in the range where the Knicks are picking. He averaged 11.3 points, 3.4 rebounds, 1.2 assists, about a steal, half a block, shot 50.3% from the field, 43.3% from the three-point line, and 92.7% from the free throw line. He is one of the best three-point shooters in this draft class. Now, he shoots the 3 mostly off the catch and shoot. Like, don't ask him to put the ball on the floor and pull up off the dribble. Don't ask him to dribble, drive, and create for others. He's a catch and shoot guy at this point. At this point, sure, he may develop, you know, his off the dribble game, but right now he's mostly a catch and shoot, and he's most effective at the corner. And where does Tibbs like his small forwards and his guards to take the three-point shot? At the corner. So I think Trey Murphy, and he's a very good defender, he can play multiple positions as well. He reminds me a little bit of Mikal Bridges out of Phoenix. You know, hit the 3, play good defense, and the rest of his game will come along. But even if he doesn't, he has a bankable skill. And that is, he plays defense, he can hit the three-point shot off the catch, right? So I really, really like Trey Murphy. I think he would be there for the Knicks. The Knicks don't have to move up to get him. Let me know what you think about him. Tricky Nicky says, no, excuse me, Gregory Costello said he's a better stretch 4 Knox. So are you saying he's a better stretch 4 than Knox is? Severance, I went kind of overboard on the draft detective work because we have so many options. Yeah, so am I. I appreciate you. Chef NYK said he's 40% from 3. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe I wrote it down wrong. Chris Duarte from Oregon is a good shooter as well. I really like him. Jose Aponte said Moses Moody is worth the 19th and 21st pick. You guys, yeah. Okay. He's not great at creating his own shot. Chef NYK, he's not. He's a catch and shoot, three-point shooter, out of that corner, can play defense. Listen, what I'm looking for from the Knicks in this draft is players who can crack the rotation and give us something. I'm not looking for developmental prospects, right? So I'm very partial to players who have a bankable skill. Say what you want to say about Obi. I know a lot of people wouldn't give him up for maybe any prospect in this draft outside of the top 4 or 5. But what is Obi's bankable skill other than his athleticism? Right? I want players with bankable skills, something you can count on. They can give us something right now. He is not a 4. Yeah. He's definitely. I think he could play small. I think he could play small forward. Lastly, before I tell you who I would pick, I want to talk a little bit about Zaire Williams out of Stanford, small forward, 6'8", only 185 pounds. Yes, 185 pounds. He's been mocked all over the place. I've seen him mocked in the late lottery, like 13, 14, and I've seen him mocked as late as the second round, 35th pick, for real. So he's like the poster child for a boom or bust prospect. Out of Stanford, he averaged 10.7 points, 4.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists, about a steal a game, but only shot 37.4% from the field, 29.1% from the three-point line, almost 80% from the free throw line. He's athletic. He shoots best off the dribble. He has good form, so he shoots 80% from the free throw line, so maybe he'll be a better shooter with some work in the NBA. He's a willing passer. He's a good on-ball defender. He could potentially guard 1 to 3. He has a wingspan of 6'11". As you know, I'm not big on wingspan if that's all you're talking about. Right? Oh, this guy's athletic. He has a long wingspan. I don't want to hear it. But if the guy has other skills, and in addition to that, he has a wingspan that kind of enhances the skills he has, enhances his ability, then yes, then wingspan, I can, I'll listen to the conversation. I also won't not take a player because his wingspan is not long or because he's not the most athletic guy, right? I'm not going to rule him out. Because your wingspan is not long. But this guy's 6'8" with a 6'11" wingspan. That means he could play bigger than he already is. And he already is pretty big, 6'11", pretty big in terms of height. He's really skinny at 185. As far as improvement, he has to improve on everything. Shooting, driving, and finishing. He has to get strong. He has to improve his ball handler. He has to limit his turnovers. He has to get better on defense. Close out properly. Now, he's been mocked to the Knicks. I've seen a few mock drafts where he's mocked with he's mocked to go to the Knicks. I would not draft Zaire Williams. And listen, there's some context to his game, to his performance. I think that entire Stanford team, Florida was really hit hard by COVID. I believe, if I remember correctly, they weren't able to practice in their own facility until later in the season. I believe they were staying in hotels and things like that. Very disruptive, right? And that can impact your development. That being said, I really need the Knicks to draft somebody that can contribute now, especially if we have to include a Knox or Obi or IQ in a trade. Hopefully not, but if we do, then I definitely want players that can come in just like they did and give us a few minutes in the rotation. So I wouldn't take Zaire Williams. Any thoughts on that before I get to who I would pick? Trey Murphy and friends. He's an international player. Blaženberg. Yes, I'm familiar with him as well. I think he's a second round prospect. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Trey Murphy and Duarte are Tibbs guys because they're so darn old. He'd love to get his hands on some 40-year-old rookies if he could. Come on. Murphy did play 3 years at Virginia. Duarte played 4 years, 2 years at a junior college, 2 years at Oregon. But listen, if you're running it back and you're trying to build off of last year, don't you want rookies, who can contribute? in some fashion. Now, in the second round, we decide to keep a second round pick. I wouldn't mind drafting Zaire Williams. He's going to need some work. I wouldn't mind drafting BJ Boston out of Kentucky. He's going to need some work, right? So I wouldn't mind in the second round a developmental prospect. But at 19 and 21, I would really, at least one of them, crack the rotation. Astrell is off the chain, said, I take Williams with the last pick. The last pick that the Knicks have, number 58, the last pick in the first round. What do you think? Duarte would be in the lottery if he wasn't older, if he wasn't 24. Gregory Costello, I agree. This guy can shoot. He's a sharp shooter. All right, so who am I taking at 19 and 21? With the 19th pick in the NBA draft, I would pick Jalen Johnson out of Duke for the New York Knicks if he falls to that position. Now, there's some I have concerns with him as far as his shooting. I have concerns with him as far as his toughness. If all of this talk is true, we don't know. But if you can get a lottery talent at number 19 because he falls, and you don't have to trade up for him, I think you have to take a chance on that. He can handle a ball. He could play a little point forward. He could defend multiple positions. I know the Knicks need shooting. I know they need scoring. But if you have an opportunity to get a prospect of this caliber, I do think you have to go for it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. With the 21st pick in the NBA draft, for the New York Knicks, I would select Trey Murphy III. I like Trey Murphy. He's 6'9". He could play defense. He could shoot the three. He's limited in that respect, that he's just shooting it, as I talked about earlier, off the catch and shoot. But the Knicks need shooters, right? We need shooters. He could play behind RJ. If he really blossoms, he could definitely play with him, right? At the small forward position. That's who I would pick with the 21st pick. The Knicks don't have to trade up to get him. He should be available around that spot. I've even seen him marked as late as the 28th pick. But I really like him. I really like his ability to shoot. And again, I don't think there's much value as far as wing players are concerned in that 19th, 21st pick. Other than Trey Murphy. The rest of them you're going to have to trade up for, as I said before, or you can basically Kessler, if you like Kessler out of Pepperdine with his funky little shot, you can get him later on. I don't think Aaron Henry, you can get him later on. You don't have to take them at 19 and 21. And if the opportunity presents itself, I'm trading up for Scotty Barnes, even if I have to include Obi Toppin in that trade. Scotty Barnes has a bankable skill. He can handle the ball, he can play make, he can defend. He has a few bankable skills, and I can't say that about Obi just yet, right? It remains to be seen. All right. I'm going to check in with the chat one more time before we get out of here. Just a reminder about the NBA Draft Party, July 29th in Atlantic City. I would love to see you guys there. $25 for that VIP ticket. Get early entry. It's free after 8. But all of the fun is happening between 5 and 8. That's when you get that free happy hour buffet. That's when you get the free beer. That's when you get an opportunity to mingle with us, be live on the podcast with us, and share your thoughts. I think the Knicks will be active. There'll be draft talk. It's going to be really fun. If you haven't got your tickets already, please get them. Would love to see you guys. And let me just check in one more time before we get out of here. We'll do the bigs and the centers next week. Justin L. I think that's Franz Wagner out of Michigan, and Murphy, if we double pick small forwards, would be available at those picks. I see Franz Wagner marked in the lottery. I haven't seen him marked lower than the lottery. Has anyone seen Franz Wagner out of Michigan? Um, Marked projected to go later than the lottery. I think the Knicks would have to trade up for him. I like him though. I like him. He plays very good defense as well. He could play multiple um, positions. Duarte and Murphy fit perfectly next to RJ and Murphy and Randall. So you would forego a guard, and I know we're not talking about guards today, but would you not draft a guard? And this is It's Me, and draft Duarte out of Oregon and Trey Murphy out of Virginia and not draft a guard at all, or maybe draft a guard in the second round? That would be interesting. I wouldn't mind that. I think we need to trade up to get Kispert. Do you trade up to get Kispert when you could just wait and possibly get Duarte? But I will say Duarte is also moving up the draft boards. I saw one mock where Golden State took him at 14, right? Golden State is in drafting 7 and 14, which is usually where teams who are struggling and not trying to win are drafting, and they may go for an older player that can help them right now. So I did see one mock that had Duarte going as high as 14. I like Kispert. I don't know. Chat, would you trade up for Kispert? I'm with you. Trey Murphy is our guy. We need three-point shooting. Yeah, that's who I would pick. Not just shooting, but we need a good offensive small forward. Mid-range is critically important, and this is David. So would you trade up for Moody? Because Trey Murphy third, I don't see a mid-range game just yet. Aw shucks, 6'9". Go Steph, it's your birthday. Yeah, I'm with you. Length at that small forward. Yeah. Trey don't got no handle, C-Mac. Yeah, like I said, this is a 3-and-D guy. He's going to stand in the corner like Knox. He's going to hit the three-point shot off the catch, off the pass. He's not putting it on the floor right now. He's not creating for others right now. He's not creating for himself right now. But he can defend multiple positions. He's switchable, right? The last thing I want to say about defense, I'm not really worried about defense in this draft. If you got the tools, you're going to be okay because you're coming to a defensive-minded team, so you're going to have to play defense. Tibbs is going to hold you accountable. So if these guys have the tools to play, I think they're going to I think they'll be fine on the defensive, and I think you do have to have some sort of feel for the game on defense as well. Somebody says stop. Trey has handle. No, man. I like Trey Man, but we're doing wings today. I like Trey Man. Probably the last show before the draft party, I'll tell you who I would pick overall. But right now, I'm limiting myself to pick to wings, small forwards. Some of them can also play shooting guard. Some of them can also play power forward, but they can't play the small forward position. Gerald Charlotte said he disagrees. Okay. Sherman and Jalen Johnson will not be there. I don't think he's going to be there either. But I have seen him mocked to the Knicks at 19, and I have seen him mocked as low as 24, right? But you're right. He probably won't be there. Duarte is a good defender too. Yeah, there's been mixed results on him. Some scouting report says he's a 3-and-D guy, very good on the ball defender. Others that say he's better off the ball in terms of rotations, positional defense. We will see. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with me on the Queen's Court. This is the new time, Monday, 8 p.m. So please, I'll be back next week. We'll be talking bigs, power forward, stretch, fours, centers. I have some international players I'll be talking about next week as well. Be well, Nick family. Until next time. Peace.